Starting back with Pokemon Sword and Shield, the Pokemon Company has released an animated series to go alongside whichever game is current at the time, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet being no exception. This time around we got Pokemon Paldean Wins, and if I'm being honest, it kinda sucks. Pokemon Paldean Wins consists of 4 parts, episode 1 being Breathe In, featuring O'Hara, episode 2 being Breathe Out, featuring Alicus, episode 3 being Breathing Problem, Take a Breath, featuring this fat kid. Yeah, I bet he does need to take a breath, fat fuck. And episode 4 being Breathe Together, which focuses more on the Paldea region itself than any characters in particular. The story boils down to these guys wanting to make a video to promote the school because the director asked them to. Each episode focuses on its respective character's story and how they come to accept their part in the video, with O'Hara being the musician, Alicus showing off the battles of the school, and Doughboy, I'm not exactly sure what he did. I think he was like the choreographer or some shit, I don't know. That's the basic rundown. I don't want to keep you guys here for too long, so let's just jump right into this. Also, I couldn't find an appropriate sound effect, so I'm just going to use a loud moaning sound effect for whenever I give my score. Before I get into this, let me just get this out of the way. I had to hear this nonsense, so you have to hear it too. I don't know what possessed them to give Gimmighoul a voice this fucking irritating, but I had to listen to it, and I don't think that it was fair to subject myself to that without having to subject you to it as well. Now, for the actual episode itself, it was alright. Pardon me for sounding like an absolute glazer, but I think this was probably the best one. If not out of the 4 that we've got, then definitely the best out of the 3 character-focused ones. For starters, O'Hara is definitely the most likable out of our protagonists, whether that be because she's the least annoying or well, yeah, that's it. She's just the least annoying. And the actual episode itself didn't feel forced, or at the very least not as forced as the other ones did. As far as I can remember, they never explain why she wants to not play the flute in the first place, but apart from that, the conflict of the episode felt a lot more natural than the other ones did, and I can at least appreciate that. After a little bit of introductory animations, we can see our young heroine walking through the Glaciato Mountains, supposedly looking for a Titan, but really she came here to discard the flute because she didn't want to play it anymore. And with this, the little mini-series begins. This episode sets a few important precedents that we can expect throughout the rest of the little series. For starters, Alicus is an emotional, temperamental dickhead who's constantly on his man period.
Solely through sound waves! Like Titan used something called
O'Hara and I were talking,
What did he say?
Each episode has a little bonding moment with a character and their respective starter, and they'll all end up meeting with a character that vaguely fits what they represent. Those being Arven, Nemona, and Aerie. Not Penny, probably because they know that she sucks. And also really pretty animation. This little series looks beautiful. Oh look, it's that guy from the video games, and now he's dead. Except not, because O'Hara saved the day with the flute that Fuecoco brought back for her, and they talked afterwards. They talked afterwards, man. Overall, this one was pretty inoffensive. It was a decent enough introduction and set decently high expectations for what the follow-up could be. It was nothing spectacular, but for what it was fine. Now, I've already vented my frustrations out about this episode and talked about it in somewhat decent detail, but yeah, this one sucked really bad. It was awful. To sum up the story, Nemona runs a one-man train on blue-haired boy, and he blames Meowscarada for him losing because his brother said something like, you shouldn't use a Pokemon that's lost in battle, which is pretty retarded in its own right. But the way that Meowscarada finds out about it feels so forced.
It'll never be able to win in battle, though.
Well, and neither will you, Alicus.
That's its fault!
The fuck you say?
I'm not using Meowscarada next time!
Who talks like this, bro? And you saw he blew up over virtually nothing. He just exploded for no fucking reason. Don't get me wrong, you could make a storyline like this work, but they jumped the gun way too soon with this, and the delivery was just so unconvincing and fake sounding. So after all this happens, Alicus is in the midst of getting his ass whooped by Nemona yet again, like complete anal throttling. When he reaches for his last guy, he ends up pulling out one of those dumb little candies that he eats with Meowscarada every time they're about to start a match. And then we get what's likely the dumbest fucking thing that they've presented in any animated piece of Pokemon media since Ash countering a counter in the Alola League. He starts going on a little friendship is magic monologue about how much he misses Meowscarada, and to the shock of all those watching, Meowscarada actually comes back, like heard the whole thing, and they make up and they're friends again, and they fight, and they still lose. This one fucking sucked. The only redeeming qualities were the fact that this one definitely has the best animation by a long shot, and also seeing Meowscarada move around like that gave me an erection.
Meowscarada toughed it out so you wouldn't feel sad!
Shut the fuck up. Now, surprisingly, and believe me, I truly do not believe that I am saying this, but this episode was not the worst one. So basically what happens is the little fat boy is upset because the news team won't take his story on Alicus getting smoked by Nemona 3 times consecutively. So when he hears them talking about Team Star, he decides that he'll be the one to go over there and crack the story. He goes up to their base and he gets let in by one of the grunts, and he gets caught snooping around, but Aerie's not pressed about it or anything because she's chill or something like that. And then they engage in this little training montage. Look at this little fat fuck struggling to keep up with the pace, fat bitch. Then a Squawkabilly comes into the little shed and starts messing with the Revavroom and ends up setting it off with swagger. Hey little nigga, your mama a bitch. And basically Aerie ends up calming it down, and the fat boy's like, oh wow, Team Star, maybe they're not all that bad. So then he goes to like this cliffside and he starts crying like a little biatch because he lost his story and Team Star are actually like nice people or something. And then Quaxley evolves, dancing around in front of him, and he's like, wow, you were trying to cheer me up this whole time. Oh man, you really are the best, Quaxwell. And that was basically it. It was not nearly as offensive as the last one was. And yeah, it was just an alright episode.
After all that, still no scoop, and still a total nobody.
Oh please, you're not a nobody. You're a fat nobody. Breathe Together is probably the second best one. Second best mainly because of this fucking segment right here.
Hola! Ciao and bonjour! What's it?
Looking past this dumb bitch coming down and dragging the enjoyment of the rest of the episode, it's actually pretty good. It's like a little montage of all the stuff that goes down in Paldean. You can see the main characters enjoying all of what the region has to offer. And you get to see some cool shots of like the Pokemon doing their little natural Pokemon things. Yeah, not really much happens. It's just Juliana, at least I hope it's Juliana, because Florian's doing this little sus-ass walk, then we're gonna have some issues. But yeah, it's pretty much just one of the protagonists from Scarlet and Violet watching the little introductory video. Honestly, there's not really much to say. I'm really fighting the urge to give this a 0 out of 10 for that fucking horrendous Iono segment, but I'll be nice. So, what are my thoughts on Pokemon Paldean Wins? I thought it was alright. The main issue that I have with this series is that it feels way too rushed. They wanted to do so much, but they had so little time with each of these characters to actually get the story that they wanted to tell out in a somewhat comprehensive manner. None of these videos were over 12 minutes in length, which really hurt what story they were trying to get across. Some episodes suffered particularly hard from this. If this ended up becoming an actual proper series with, more than just fucking 4 10-minute long videos, then maybe it could have been something better, but as of now, that doesn't look like it's going to be the case. So yeah, would I recommend watching this? Probably not. What I would recommend watching is some of my other videos because they are awesome. Bye.